Moving on to our next big story this hour, Pakistan has announced that the once postponed election for the Legislative Assembly of Gilgit-Baltistan will be held on the 15th of November. New Delhi has opposed Pakistan's move, saying that Gilgit-Baltistan belongs to India under international law and that the region is currently under Pakistan's illegal occupation. The polls in Gilgit-Baltistan were to be held on the 18th of August, but Pakistan's Election Commission has postponed them due to the coronavirus pandemic. Now, President Dr. Arif Alvi has issued an official notification to fix the date of the elections in Gilgit-Baltistan on Wednesday. Polling would now be held on the 24 general seats of the Legislative Assembly in November, even as Pakistan grapples with the coronavirus pandemic. The 5-year term of the previous assembly had ended on the 24th of June, bringing an end to the 5-year rule of the Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz. And there are a total of 33 seats, but 6 are reserved for technocrats and 3 for women. The special seats are filled from nominations by the parties winning the polls according to their representation. Close to a dozen political parties, including Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, Pakistan People's Party and Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz, are expected to contest in the upcoming elections in Gilgit-Baltistan. Pakistan has announced the election date amidst reported consultations to elevate Gilgit-Baltistan's status to that of a full-fledged province. According to reports, Pakistan is considering the step after India revoked the special status of Jammu and Kashmir last year. Now, believe it or not, Pakistan Army Chief General Qamar Javed Bajwa held discussions with the political parties over the same issue on the 16th of September. The move has divided Pakistan's political landscape. Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz Vice President Maryam Nawaz says political decisions must be taken inside the parliament and not at the army's headquarters.
मैं ये समझती हूँ कि जिस इशू पे वो बुलाया गया था वो गिलगित बल्तिस्तान का इशू था और गिलगित बल्तिस्तान का जो इशू है वो पॉलिटिकल इशू है, वो अवामी रिप्रेजेंटेटिव्स का इशू है, उनके सॉल्व करने का इशू है, उनकी मशावरत का इशू है। ये जो फैसले हैं ये पार्लियामेंट में होने चाहिए, ये GHQ में नहीं होने चाहिए।
Meanwhile, India has once again told Pakistan that the entire Union territories of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh, including the areas of Gilgit and Baltistan, are an integral part of India by virtue of its fully legal and irrevocable accession. India has said that the government of Pakistan or its judiciary has no locus standi on territories illegally and forcibly occupied by it. The region of Gilgit-Baltistan is of utmost importance to Pakistan. It has become Pakistan's top tourist destination that receives more visitors than any other part of the country. The region's significance is further elevated as $64 billion China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, or the CPEC, runs through it. The CPEC is an alternative supply route for China to the choked and vulnerable Malacca Strait, which is the main shipping channel between the Indian Ocean and the Pacific Ocean. Pakistan Army has also scaled up its presence in the region over the years, and Pakistan wants to secure the CPEC, which has faced opposition from locals over concerns that it destroys the environment, culture and social fabric without much benefit to the people. Now, for more details on this news development, senior journalist Amir Shaheen is joining us live from Lahore. Good evening to you. Thanks for being with us. Now, what do we make of Maryam Nawaz's statement on the political decisions being decided on in Parliament and not in the GHQ?
It's an open secret that there is a military supervision of every democratic process, especially right now in Pakistan. Previously, the supervision was limited, but every election, the intervention or the so-called supervision becomes more and more. In the last general elections, the military people who had guns were allowed inside the polling stations, and they were given magisterial, the powers of a judge. They could arrest anybody. And what we saw, even I went out and I voted, was just before, usually the rigging used to take place during the polling process, but it didn't last time for the most part. It took place when the votes were cast and they were supposed to be counted. That's when the political parties' agents were thrown out by powerful people who had magisterial. They could arrest you if you refused to obey their orders. So the problem of military intervention or supervision in general elections is a real issue, but it's not limited to Gilgit-Baltistan. However, I maintain that the right to choose under any circumstances, be it Balochistan, be it Gilgit-Baltistan or Kashmir. People have the right to choose. Of course, there need to be free and fair elections. So I wouldn't go as far as condemning the fact that there are elections happening. Of course, that's a really good thing. Even if it's a disputed area, still the people living in that area have basic rights to choose their leaders. However, that election needs to take place in transparent and fair manner, which is not what is happening right now in Pakistan.
Right, Amir, I'll get back to that. But what do we make of the timing? Why is Pakistan pushing for these elections to be held on the 15th of November?
These elections were supposed to be held after June this year because the tenure of the last government finished in June, and currently there is a caretaker government. And as far as at least Pakistan is concerned, caretaker governments are not good governments because they're the chosen people. They're selected, not elected. So, so this was the time. In terms of timing, it's kind of a little late for the elections to take place. I don't see that there is any tit for tat in that. It's just that political engineering had to take place before elections were allowed to take place. And then obviously, as you can practically see, it was the GHQ spearheading all that engineering. And in the end, they had to call political parties to gain their confidence so that nobody comes out and talks against the elections, because it's an international issue as well. Otherwise, elections in Gilgit-Baltistan will take place the way elections in Pakistan take place, under supervision of those with guns.
And you mentioned it, you just touched on this earlier. Now, New Delhi has opposed this move, obviously saying that Gilgit-Baltistan belongs to India under international law.
It's a little different when you talk about Gilgit-Baltistan and other disputed areas. Gilgit-Baltistan, obviously there are breaches of human rights happening, but it's if we compare it, let's say, to Balochistan or Kashmir, we can see that they're not blocking internet, they're not blocking mobile services, there are no barricades, there's no law and order situation. Generally speaking, people are happy at the fact that the elections are happening, because what's the alternative to not having elections? Not having elections doesn't mean that disputed territories will get what they want. They're never going to get what they want, because nationalism prevents both India and Pakistan to think about the people. They only think about the national pride. India says that the Gilgit-Baltistan is theirs, but then Pakistan says that it belongs to Pakistan. Pakistan says even Jammu and Kashmir belongs to Pakistan. So I think the national prides get in the way of basic human rights being delivered to the people of these disputed areas. And I think that's the topic that needs to be touched upon. Even after elections, these people are not going to get their basic rights, and that is a sad part. And in India, we're told that United Nations said something else.
Right.
In Pakistan, it says we put it on India. The fact of the matter is that both countries need to decide and think about the people of the country and not just the land.
Absolutely. Amir, thank you very much for joining us in that analysis there.